What is going on, guys? It is WrestleGamia here, back with another video. Well, since we already did a video on the lowest rated wrestlers in every WWE game stretching back to Here Comes the Pain, and most of them turned out to be women, which is a sad reflection on the way the company treated its female fighters at the time, we felt that in the interest of quality, it was only fair to do one on the men who became bottom of the barrel, because God knows, the guys can suck too. So be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell, because today we're going to look at the worst rated male wrestlers in every WWE game since Smackdown Here Comes the Pain. WWE Smackdown Here Comes the Pain, Eric Bischoff, rating 52. In the first WWE game to feature stats for its wrestlers, Eazy-E held the distinction of getting the lowest rating of any of the males. Now, Bischoff is an accomplished martial artist, so I'm sure he could handle himself in a fight, but in the world of wrestling, well, it's pretty clear that this ranking is accurate. When the highlight of your in-ring career is a laughably bad match involving Jay Leno, then there's nothing else that needs to be said, is there? WWE Day of Reckoning, Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak, rating 54. Well, here are two names that have been pretty much lost to time. Mark Jindrak was one of the contracts bought during the purchase of WCW, and as you can probably infer from this rating, he never came to much in the WWE despite almost becoming a founding member of Evolution before the company wisely replaced him with Batista. At least for Cade, he had some success, actually winning 3 Raw Tag Team Championships with his partner Trevor Murdoch before sadly dying of a drug overdose at the age of just 29. So unfortunately, we'll never know if he could have grown into something more. But giving a former 3-time champion that rating is pretty much insulting. WWE Smackdown vs Raw, Chuck Palumbo, rating 75. Another carryover from the WCW purchase, Chuck Palumbo found his greatest success in WWE as Billy Gunn's tag partner. The two would make a lot of innuendos as being a gay couple in a storyline which ended up greatly offending the LGBTQ community. We're sure it's only a small solace to them to see Palumbo ranked so low in this game. WWE WrestleMania 21, Garrison Cade, rating 46. Garrison Cade takes a second lowest rated spot amongst the men with a score of only 46 in this Xbox exclusive game. This sadly has the distinction of being the lowest rated score for any male wrestler in a WWE game. We can only hope that if he was still with us today, he'd be able to see the funny side of it, but alas, rest in peace. WWE Day of Reckoning 2, Kenzo Suzuki, rating 70. Another wrestler that many fans will struggle to remember, Kenzo Suzuki was one of the sea of names from mid-2000s SmackDown that just seemed to exist for a while before disappearing into the ether. Suzuki was a legitimately great wrestler, so it's a bit sad to see him ranked so low, but then like most Japanese wrestlers, he was always treated as a bit of a joke and a clear afterthought by WWE. This wasn't too far removed from the days of Kai and Tai after all. WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2006, Jimmy Hart, rating 67. It is somewhat unfair to have Jimmy Hart ranked as the lowest of any male wrestler in this game, as he wasn't even a wrestler. Come to think of it, we're not even sure if he even had a match. Nevertheless, the Mouth of the South was a playable character, and this did reflect his wrestling skill level. That is unless he was secretly hiding some Daniel Bryan tier technical prowess, just waiting to be unleashed on an unsuspecting opponent. Probably not though. WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2007, Trevor Murdoch, rating 77. Garrison Cade's former tag partner got his spot as the lowlight this time around. This was one of only 2 appearances in a WWE game for Murdoch, along with his appearance in Smackdown vs Raw 2009, which, considering his champion status, goes a long way to show how poorly the company thought of him. Did he really deserve a 77? WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2008, Shane McMahon and Snitsky, rating 82. Another tie this year, and one well deserved for both men. Shane McMahon has been described by some as a spot monkey, good for jumping off high things, but not so good at stringing together a wrestling match. And while you can debate how true that statement is in the comments down below, he certainly was one of the weaker wrestlers on the roster even in his heyday. As far as Snitsky is concerned, well, he kinda had the look of a monster, but unfortunately he was terrible in the ring, a terrible character, and saddled with some of the worst storylines in history. Come on, his best known moment was punting a baby. WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2009, Kurt Hawkins, rating 79. Well, if you watched our previous video, then you knew he was coming up, but you might not have expected to him appear this early. Perennial jobber Kurt Hawkins has made a career gimmick out of losing, and so it's only right he gets the lowest rating in the 2009 edition of the 2K series. This definitely won't be the last time we'll be seeing him in this video either. WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2010, Santino Marella, rating 73. No, we're not talking about the former Miss WrestleMania Santina Marella. This is a list for the worst men only, and we're here to discuss her strikingly similar looking brother Santino. Santino was one of the most legitimately funny characters on WWE television at the time. You just gotta watch his Tea with Sheamus segment for evidence of this. Still, apart from a championship winning debut, he was by and large a comedy jobber, so it's not surprising to see him ranked bottom amongst the men here. WWE Smackdown vs Raw 2011, Santino Marella, rating 75. Now technically The Undertaker's Druids is the lowest ranked this year, but we can't be sure if he's a male or a female, so we're gonna give the double to Santino here. Look, this isn't a diss against him. Santino was genuinely great, just more so as a character than an in-ring talent. Sadly, neck issues would result in him having to retire a few years after this, but the great thing about his gimmick is that he can still show up from time to time to make us laugh all over again. WWE 12, David Otunga, rating 74. David Otunga found more notoriety as a commentator and as the husband of Academy Award winner Jennifer Hudson, so some fans will probably have forgotten that he started off his main roster career as a member of the Invading Nexus, one of the hottest angles at the time. His in-ring career didn't reach the heights of some of the others in the group, as evidenced here by his low rating, but how many of you remembered he was once a co-tag team champion with John Cena? Seriously, we actually forgot that ever happened. WWE 13, John Laurinaitis, rating 75. While John Laurinaitis was a wrestler earlier in his career, primarily in Japan, and actually had 2 5-star rated matches from Dave Meltzer, by this point his in-ring career was long over, save for that one match with John Cena that's probably best left forgotten. Including him as a playable wrestler here meant he really had to appear at the bottom of the pile. The days of the dynamic dudes had long since passed by this point. WWE 2K14, Jinder Mahal, rating 80. In years to come, people will look back on Jinder Mahal's WWE title run as one of the weirdest experiments in the company's history and wonder what the hell they were thinking. Especially when just a few years previously he was considered so low on the totem pole that he was ranked as the worst male wrestler in 2K14 and no one batted an eyelid. It's a credit to him that he ever made it as high as he did, but this is certainly a far more accurate representation of his skills as a wrestler, unfortunately. WWE 2K15, Corey Graves, rating 79. Another superstar who's become more famous for sitting behind the commentary booth rather than being in the ring. Multiple concussions led to Corey Graves' wrestling career being cut short before he could ever make it to the main roster, but if his rating in this game is anything to go by, maybe it was a blessing in disguise, as he was unlikely to find the same success as an active competitor than he did as a commentator. WWE 2K16, General Adnan, rating 77. There's something pretty funny about getting a legend to appear in this year's edition of the 2K series, only to give him the lowest rated male character score in the game. Seriously, who did he upset to get treated like this? General Adnan is best known to WWE fans for his time teaming with Sergeant Slaughter during the Second Gulf War, when he turned his back on America to side with Iraq. What some of you may not know is that Adnan was actually real-life friends with Saddam Hussein from high school. Bet that surprised a lot of you. WWE 2K17, Bo Dallas, rating 67. Now if you remember our last video on the lowest rated wrestlers, you'll remember that Bo is the first confirmed male wrestler to get the lowest rated spot in a WWE game, which he shared this year with Eva Marie. It must make for awkward family dinners when Bo's brother Bray Wyatt lists off all his accomplishments and Bo has to pull this one out as an achievement for himself. Well, at least he always had that run as NXT champion. WWE 2K18, Sawyer Fulton, rating 69. Yes, this NXT wrestler was added as DLC, and though he was later replaced by Killian Dane in the group Sanity, he's the only wrestler in the game that can make Kurt Hawkins look good. WWE 2K19, Kurt Hawkins, rating 64. Yep, rounding his second entry in this list, Kurt Hawkins becomes a 2-time worst rated wrestler in the 2K series. Kurt shouldn't be too sad though, he's got a great podcast with real life best friend Zack Ryder about the love of wrestling figures to fall back on. And lastly, WWE 2K20, Riley Flash with a rating of 63, or No Way Jose with a rating of 67. Now we're not including Ribby here because as far as we know, spare ribs don't follow traditional gender norms, so with that in mind, it's Riley Flash who gets the bottom spot in the newest entry to the 2K franchise. Who is Riley Flash, I hear some of you ask? Well, he's a mustachioed and mullet-clad trainer who helps your character along in the game's career mode. But if we're going by real-life wrestlers, then No Way Jose gets the prize with a rating of 67, proving himself to be the premier jobber on current WWE television. But there you have it guys, the worst rated male wrestlers in every WWE game since Smackdown Here Comes the Pain. Did these wrestlers deserve such ratings? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.